thank you, Lasker here. Look, you might indulge me at the outset by allowing me to welcome a graduate student from California here to the gallery, Hannah, who's a very interesting young woman studying dance and English. And
member of either house to work with, Senator?
She's receiving the highest form of tutelage.
So she's obviously in someone's office other than your own.
She's very welcome. So you can imagine who that might be.
You're very welcome.
But so I want to do that. Of course, I secondly want to welcome our Minister here today. And I'm not surprised to hear my colleague and our education spokesperson, Senator Byrne, say that the Minister had said at the outset, when I was meeting an IFA delegation, that the Minister had said then that he's going to run and be proactive in getting these recommendations adopted and getting the necessary changes made where appropriate, or making sure that there is an effective process of teaching in this sensitive area right across the country. I noticed something in society, and I would say that it stretches across all faith groupings at the moment, thankfully, and right across and none in this country. And I'd contrast it now. We all tend to romanticise the past and have a romantic view of our own childhood and our own youth. But I've actually sensed, and it's right across all religions and none, that there is a much more kindly and sensitive Ireland now, and a much greater tolerance of difference. And that's a wonderful thing. That's a wonderful backdrop to what we're discussing. I sense that there's a greater tolerance of difference, physical and mental handicap, greater tolerance of difference of view, difference of sexuality, everything. And that's a wonderful Ireland that we're emerging in. And that doesn't preclude people having religious values and personal values, but that's a great core value that's emerging in our contemporary Ireland. And I really sense that. Now, of course, we need to build on it, but it's a good thing. I'm also pleased to inform the House that I had a look. My son, and I'm very proud of this fact and delighted that my son has entered primary teacher training, my youngest son, up in Marino, an excellent college. And I looked at his timetable last Sunday when he was home for the weekend. I asked him, could I see it, just because I was interested. And I see that there is a whole section of his day on a weekly basis now, and the Minister will be pleased with this, and I'm sure is instrumental in encouraging this. There's just a section of his day now on SPHE, and on the entire area of sexual education, sexuality and all of that, in that whole sphere of the whole holistic human thing, human education and all aspects of the human condition. That is actually a couple of hours of each day now, or 3 or 4 sessions a week. And presumably that's only going to last till Christmas, and then they'll take on another module. But it's very encouraging that that's there, and that it's been done in a very modern way, and I'm delighted about that and happy to record that fact, and indeed to congratulate the teacher training colleges on that. I do think that I would agree with Senator Éireann that having a good sex education programme, an SPHE programme, social and personal health programme in schools, is crucial to preventing crisis pregnancies. And I'm sure Senator Mullen, who makes a valid point that everyone has their own values, would agree with that it's very important that young people are informed and they're educated in their whole development in a way that is reducing crisis pregnancies. And I'm much happier with that. I actually believe that that's happening, and I believe that if we get the reforms that the Minister will introduce and work on and implement these recommendations, that will accelerate and reduce that. And that's a good thing. Obviously, well, it's just not just a good thing, it's a necessary and wonderful thing. Now, it is also important that we do have an education system that does factor in or incorporate, or whatever the terminology is, LGBT rights and all of the modern gender equality that exists now, and the recent referenda, etc., and the results. I think that cannot be outside of the educational sphere, and I don't think there's anyone in the room here today, or in the chamber rather, suggesting the contrary. But that has to be a facet of a modern education programme. I think what's so important, and Minister, there are other experts who might help to design this programme, but I'd be commending to you, Minister, that the really important thing in this whole area is emotional development, is that people are developed in a holistic, emotional way, that they understand the principle of consent, that they understand the concept of mutual respect and regard for other people, and that they are emotionally developed in a way that they have a personal self-confidence, that they will approach the world in a healthy fashion. And I think that sphere, that might be something that needs huge development. I think that whole area of the personal confidence, the mutual respect, the understanding of consent, all of that, I think, should be done. I take Senator Mullen's point, and he makes it well, that everybody comes to all of this with their own values, and that we respect all values, and I think nobody would question that. And I think obviously schools will mirror their values. But I don't think when Senator Byrne, our spokesperson, was suggesting standardisation, that she is precluding people coming with their own values and between family and the ethos of their school and all. But what I think, if I understood Senator Byrne correctly, or certainly what my sense of that would be you'd have a standardised curriculum programme, a developed standardised programme that would be available in all schools, that would provide, obviously, the factual information, a complete factual information, that would provide the emotional support and all of that. And then between the home and the ethos of the school, people bring their own values onto that. But I think she's talking about a standardised programme, and I commend such a thing to the Minister. And I think it should be holistic. It's physical health, it's mental health, it's a whole. You cannot teach sex education in isolation from the holistic development of the person. And I think that's important. So I think it's an exciting and wonderful thing that we're here discussing this, and I think it's so important. I think it has to happen in every school in the land. I think, to be truthful, it has to be standardised to the extent that there's no exclusion, nobody's immune from it, or no school is immune from it, or no teacher can personally decide not to do it, and not to do it in its completeness. I also think that that can be married without difficulty to Senator Mullen's well-made point that we all come to these things with our own values. Of course we do, and everybody will have their own core values, but that doesn't preclude a standardised factual curriculum. So all I'll say in conclusion is that I commend to the Minister, and I'm delighted and not surprised that he's going to run with getting a lot done in this area. It's so important, and I think it should be taught effectively, as I think it is in the teacher training colleges. I think there should be in-service training during teaching careers to make sure that people are doing the right thing. It's a sensitive and difficult area. And I think there should be that, in the final point, there should be that link with the home and the parents, so that there's a continuity and a link. And I'd say to the Minister to look at ways of achieving that the home would some way follow up on the programme and bring the programme into the home, and that there be the link there. And I think that's important. So thank you for your indulgence, Lasker Herlick. It's an important area. I don't think we might have a more important discussion this week, even though we think other things are very important. Thank you.
Senator